No. No elevator. Yeah, Steve says, "Oh, like you heard about that, right?" I was like, "No, I don't know. Like, I'm not here every day." Move the orange cone out of the way. Still waiting. Still waiting.
Good to go.
All right. All right. Well, welcome to the Upper Darby Shade Tree Commission meeting for the month of March 2024. I'm Mike Atwell. With me, I have the other commissioners, Eric Burns and Evan Hunt. We have an agenda tonight, as we always do. I'll go through those items, starting at the top. We circulated meeting minutes from last February's meeting, which was brief. So I don't know if you had any reason to make any changes to the February meeting notes. They were kind of basic, but.
No, everything looked good to me.
Okay, great. So, motion to accept the meeting minutes from February?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so they'll go into the official record. That's good. Thank you. Agenda item number 2, Tree City USA application submitted. Evan, would you mind to kind of update us from where we were in February?
Yeah, so I think the deadline to submit the application with the Arbor Day Foundation was like early February. We were having a hard time getting budget information from the township, but I spoke to someone at the Arbor Day Foundation. They said it would be fine if we like send the information a little bit late. We finally got it. I think Josh helped us out with it. So we finally got the information we needed, submitted the application. It has to go through like 3 levels of review or something. So it went through like, it passed like the regional review is what they told me. So then it goes to like the National Arbor Day Foundation to review.
Okay.
So I think it'll be good. We'll just wait to hear back from them.
We're at about 46 years or some number like that. It's a big number.
Yeah, we're
like
one
that.
of the like longer running townships in the state, I think.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. That was great.
How long to hear?
No, I don't know.
No idea.
All right, great. Thank you. Anything else about that? I think we're pretty good.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Agenda item number 3 is trees to plant in the spring of this year, 2024. The first bullet under that agenda item is the Township building. Outside of the Township building here at 100 Garrett Road, there are 3 garage doors and a kind of a grassy raised area that has always just been grass. So it's been mowed and so on. And so the former mayor, Barbara Ann Keffer, was in favor of and encouraged us to get some woody plants planted there and to kind of beautify it. It's just a grassy plot of probably maybe 8 or 9 feet by maybe 15 or I don't know, so 15, 20 feet. And so this week, Evan Hunt and I met with some township staff to have a look at the space, to review obstacles that there might be to planting a tree or planting some other things there. And it looks like that area has been marked for the PA1 811 call such that we can make sure that we'll be able to plant some trees, some woody bushes or whatever, we kind of come to an agreement on. Evan, is there anything you'd like to say about that or any of the considerations we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could talk about the one thing that came up. Because, yeah, you weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we met with Eric Schmidt, who I guess runs like the facilities for this building. He was concerned because they have like a security camera on the corner, which like they use to get images like across the street from the parking lot. So he didn't want like a big tree that would block the view of the camera. So we're thinking about trying to put something like smaller in there. Yeah, maybe a small tree, like, I don't know, like 15, 30, yeah, or some shrubs.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there was some question too, because there are cameras all around the building. There are cameras, like, there's a camera in front of the garage, there's a camera maybe 30 feet down on that same side of the street. Like, there's a lot of, there are great views of the street
Yeah, I didn't
from-
really understand the
from multiple
concern
angles that I
that
think
much.
maybe weren't considered, because there might be a tree in front of one. I'm not sure that has to be an obstacle to planting like a very long-lived tree, which I'm kind of in favor of.
How high was the camera?
The camera's about 20 feet high.
It's like that high.
Yeah, and it provides they all do like, I think, about a 180-degree view. And so, you know, yeah, yeah. And,
It's a space.
right, and so in the daylight, after Evan and I met with the team downstairs, we just walked around the building and kind of looked for other opportunities too, for planting. There are some other really good opportunities for planting other things where there's just grass now, but that's really not for the spring. But I think there are opportunities to kind of beautify the township building even a little bit more. But we noticed that, and we saw when we looked through Eric's view of the CC cameras, that like all of Garrett Road, all of Chestnut, that intersection is like really well covered from those three cameras. So it's not going to be up to us really, ultimately, but I think we could probably make a case for something more than a small ornamental tree. I don't know.
Because of the coverage.
Yeah, yeah, but it might,
Yeah,
it's a new administration, and I don't want to do the wrong thing either. I don't want to plant something that's going to be an obstruction or make.
Shrub would be the sightline obstruction down the street.
Yeah, like
Coming out of
every,
the garage,
a little bit, so, so there are considerations, right? And we have some stock in the nursery, to choose from, so, but it's getting to be the time of season we want to act before things are too awake and,
Yeah.
that we want to dig up. Evan and I suggested that we'd be willing to volunteer to dig up whatever specimen is going to be planted there, and the township staff agreed that they could provide a couple of people, maybe from Parks Maintenance, to clear the grass out of that spot, and such that we can really plant it and, eliminate the mowing and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, definitely. We'll have to check the nursery again and see like what kind of like smaller trees or shrubs are in there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I like to put in like more than one thing.
Yeah,
Also.
definitely.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
it?
Stephen made the point that it's an area that collects like a lot of stormwater
It could be, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just runs off the sidewalk. So yeah, we could try and put a lot of things in there
Yeah.
rather than like one big tree that'll obstruct the view.
Right, right. Yeah, so I thought that was a positive meeting, though. We got to kind of meet some different people and stuff, so I thought that was really, like a really good step in the, in the work to get that planting done. The second item under trees to plant in the spring of this year is the Watkins Senior Center.
Oh yeah, sorry, I changed I guess Bill printed this out before you
Okay.
changed the
Ye-
language on there.
Yeah, do you mind, how do you want to categorize that, or how would,
Yeah, I guess initially, like Bill asked us to kind of put together like a proposal for adding trees to the
yeah,
Watson Center on which street is that? I
it's
forget.
Watkins, it's on like
Oh,
Watkins.
Watkins.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
says Watkins Ave.
yeah, it is.
Gotcha.
It's
Sorry.
Watkins Avenue.
Yeah, so we kind of came back and said that it's hard to like kind of envision a planting if we don't really know what the kind of long-term goal is for the property. And there's really no like spots there right now to add any like large trees. It's like all concrete. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, Bill kind of like vaguely mentioned something about like
Pulling up
He
blacktop.
was open to opening up space for it.
Yeah,
Creating our own space.
right.
yeah, that's like a bit out of our like
Yeah,
realm of,
yeah.
of design.
It's at least, it's
Yeah.
at least a collaboration.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we're kind of not in a position to say, yeah, tear up that street. It's a dead-end street, sort of, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's, like, tear up that street and that kind of thing. But if there's a site plan, we should be involved in developing the site plan for the plantings.
Yeah, it seems like we should come in like kind of secondarily
Mm-hmm.
and make suggestions for trees once there's more of like an idea if they're gonna like open up, take out some blacktop or like whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I don't really have enough information.
Yeah, I mean, there were opportunities to plant trees around a parking lot, but it's removed from the center. The center just has sidewalks with very narrow little like dirt space between the sidewalk and the building that, you'd have to just do like perennial plants, like small, herbaceous things and stuff like that. But it would be it's a good project to do. So, we're up for it, when we kind of figure out how to get it together with a whole site development.
And you said you didn't visit, Eric?
No, I haven't been there yet.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if you get a chance to go
Yeah, I'm
out
going
there,
to-
you
I'm-
probably.
Yeah, yeah.
The plan is to go on Sunday if the weather is good. It's supposed to be real windy, but it's not supposed to be raining.
Yeah, just for background too, the senior center kind of backs up to the 69th Street Park, like the 69th Street Playground, and so the center ends and then there's like a kind of a hill that runs down into the park where we did some planting, the township did some planting on that hillside a couple of years ago, just to get some big trees started. But it's a little bit of a challenging place, to envision what to do, but we can definitely make some progress there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's also worth mentioning. Yeah, because we don't have a lot of like stuff we're planting this spring.
Right.
Because I think we're focusing more on doing like planning for the maintenance of all the trees we planted in the last like 3 years, which is like well over 100 throughout the township. So yeah, we're trying to come up with like a more comprehensive plan for how to do maintenance on those trees. That's why we're kind of taking it easy on the planting this spring. I think we'll have more to share maybe next meeting about the maintenance plan and how that's going. I guess we could say we've been working with Michael Dunn, who's a community forester. So we're trying to work with him to put together like a tree care plan and get that rolling. But it's really in the very beginning stages.
Along those lines too, I just reached out and I had a very preliminary conversation with a person in the PA DCNR about kind of our maintenance year and, just kind of looking for, if there are state or county resources. I've also been in communication with the Sustainability Office for Delaware County, because I think they're doing some form of like a tree canopy assessment or something like that, and that's kind of what we've been talking about for Upper Darby. So if we can kind of get connected in Delaware County, that could be a good thing to be in lockstep and not kind of out on our own.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we're kind of looking for funds to help
Yeah.
out with our like maintenance plan and inventory.
Yeah,
So-
I reached out to Francine Locke, who is the sustainability lead, I think, for Delaware County. I just got an introduction, and we haven't spoken yet, but we're just at the very preliminary email stage, but looking forward to that, being a little bit helpful, and sanity check and all the other stuff, with working with consultants and things like that. So,
Cool.
anything else on item 3?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's Delaware County?
Yeah.
They're the county?
Uh-huh, yeah, and media, yeah.
Yeah, it's like their Office of Sustainability,
Mm-hmm,
which is kind of a new thing, I think.
I think it is too, Francine
Francine Locke, I think she's
yeah.
pretty new to the
Mhm.
county. But But yeah, I think they'll be helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks for reaching out.
yeah, well,
Sure.
yeah, just, yeah. Um, Okay. Item four is update on tree tenders live stake project.
Yeah, I think Steven was gonna give us a little
Steven, do
update
you,
on some work he did.
all right.
We're on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we had some volunteers do some harvesting from a home in Ardmore. We got 80 live stakes. They were red osier dogwood and elderberry. 6 of us took them from the property with the owner's cooperation. And then we took them to Drexel Gardens Park, and we staked them in the bank along the Nailers Run. And I guess it took us 60 minutes to 75 minutes to harvest, and then 60 to 90 minutes to stake them in the ground. That went very well. That was on February 19th. Then towards the end of the week, we were able to harvest from 2 homes in Seacane, another 80 live stakes. Again, elderberry and red osier dogwood. Took them to the Swedish cabin. We put a number of them into the bank, into what remains of the tree revetment there. Then the remainder, maybe 50 or so, we put into a marshy area near the base of the bridge on the Swedish cabin side. The following week, we harvested another 60 or so from an elderberry in Kent Park. I sort of got the permission of somebody from the county that we could do that because that's county land. Then we staked them again at below the bridge at the Swedish cabin. This time it was about 60 stakes. Those didn't even need a pilot hole. The ground was so marshy, we were just able to push them into the ground.
Wow,
And I think it took us 30 minutes to put 60 in the ground. So
nice.
just 3 of us doing that.
What size are the cuttings, Stephen? What do they look like? How long are they? What's
24 to 30 inches,
Mhm.
okay?
Uh-huh.
In previous years, we have painted the tops of them to indicate what year we put them in. So 2 years ago, we put in a bunch and we
Uh-huh.
painted them with white tips, so we knew
Yes.
when they went in. And many of them are 4 feet tall. And last year, we painted them in sort of a mustard color. And most of those, you can't see growth on them yet. Most of the growth, from what we hoped, would be root growth. So, you know, we cut off the top, so nothing is growing up here,
Right.
but underground, we're getting some growth. And they all look healthy. The red osier dogwood look red when they're alive. They turn brown when they die. So it's really easy to see when they're still alive. So they're in good shape. The elderberry is a little tougher because they're brown either way. But we'll know probably in 2 years how well the elderberry are doing.
Those are 2 species that are especially favorable to this technique.
Correct. Yeah,
Red-
they're 10 or 12 shrubs that work really well with live staking. There are only 2 or 3 trees that will work with this, and you got to get just the right cutting. Sycamores are good for it, but there aren't too many that do real well.
It's really funny. I have a neighbor who was so proud. She showed me like this week a red osier dogwood like plant that she bought, and its twigs and bark are like really red now.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, like through the
absolutely.
winter, it really stands out. It's cool. That's great, and that's one of them.
Right, and one of the nice things about it is it's something that provides winter interest. I mean,
Yeah.
everything else is brown during the
Right.
winter. You know, you got mud and dirt all around, but
Mm-hmm.
both the silky dogwood and the red osier dogwood provide some color, something to look at, you know, when everything else is, and it really stands out against the snow.
Yes.
So it's another thing, it's really neat.
Yeah. If you had to guess, what do you think the survival rate is for some of the ones you?
Survival rate's generally around 50%, if you did it right. So we'll know this time next year, hopefully. We hope to go back and paint the ones that we did this year with a different color.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're able to keep somewhat tabs on it.
Right.
You know?
But it seems like a really good return on the effort at 50%, because it's not digging holes or augering or doing anything like that, right?
Right. In really stiff surface,
Yeah.
like when you have a bank that's got a lot of rock, like the Swedish cabin does, we use a
okay.
piece of rebar.
Okay.
So we take a 2-foot piece of rebar, maybe a 3-pound sledge, get a pilot hole going,
Okay.
pull it out, and just put the stake in the ground that way. But, you can wear yourself out throwing that 3-pound sledge,
Oh, yeah.
after a while.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's something that people can do during the winter that many other people can't. They don't think about planting during the winter, and that's sometimes you can do this kind of thing.
So doing the cuttings is probably the best time is winter?
What you want to make sure that they're dormant, or as
Right.
close to dormant as possible.
Okay,
So, I mean, you can harvest them in the fall and put them in.
okay.
They say that the success rate is not quite as good,
Mm-hmm,
but I don't have a lot of data on that,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's one way to stabilize the stream bank without doing a lot.
Right.
And, a lot of people want to do something during the winter, so, and we're trying not to wear ourselves out. So we work for an hour and a half,
And the approximate spacing, like 36 inches, 48 inches?
Yeah, you can do them in sort of in a seesaw or a zigzag pattern. You can do them about 24 inches apart. If
Okay.
that makes sense. You can
Okay.
do them closer, but
Uh-huh,
that seems to work,
yeah. And do you try to alternate the species, or does it?
We
really-
haven't done that so much, we basically put the elderberry in one 5-gallon pot and the red osier dogwood in another one, and brought them out.
Yeah, yeah.
One group went one way
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one group went the other,
That's good. Yeah,
and,
that's great.
yeah, and it's something you can trade off on. One guy can swing the hammer for a while.
Mm-hmm,
The other guy can push stuff and hand the stakes.
nice.
And it really, the only thing that is involved really is your effort, because there's no cost involved.
Right.
You need to have a few buckets with some tools, but we have them, and you can also borrow them from the Conservation District in Media. Karen Wilwell is happy to lend. She's actually got a whole van that has bunches of tools in it, as long as you give her, a month's notice when you're going to do it.
Well, I was not aware of that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people aren't, so.
Did the homeowners, the volunteers to let you take their cuttings, did they contact you? Did you just know them, or?
We actually, there's a street in Ardmore called Delmont, and they actually call themselves Delmont Green Street. And of the 30 homeowners on the street, about 15 of them have large spaces for rain gardens and other stuff, and they asked us to walk out in that area last summer. And when we walked around, we happened to notice they had elderberry and they had osier dogwood and some other stuff, and I said, he's getting pretty thick. Do you ever trim them back, He says, yeah, we've often trimmed them back. And I mentioned about live staking, and a couple of the people already knew about it and do it themselves. They do it on Cobb's Creek in Havertown, because it's really close to that. And I said, well, if you ever have some more that you want to get rid of quickly, I'd be happy to bring a team out. And, in 60 minutes to an hour and a half, we could trim these back at your request. We're not going to take a lot. They generally say take 10%. But if you have, red osier dogwood has multi-stemmed, it's a multi-stem plant. So you could take 2 long stakes. They grow to be, let's say, 6 feet tall. And you cut them into 3 pieces, right?
Right, right.
And you usually cut the downside at an angle,
Right, so you know
top
which one
side.
is,
right? And the second advantage of cutting the downside at an angle, it goes in easier,
yeah.
right? And put them right in the bucket,
Mm-hmm.
walk them away. And the woman was very happy that we trimmed back her plants, and she was there the whole time, telling us
Yep.
what we could
Yep.
take.
Yeah, it's a
You know
nice
what, I have this-
partnership.
I have that on, okay. And then she also had an elderberry around the back that she said she wanted to trim back. So, happy to do it.
I'm-
I know we mentioned, if there anybody else on the street that's interested, we'll be happy to contact them next year, give them a couple, 6 or 8 weeks' notice, and trying to find a right day to
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 other people down here, one in Springfield and one in Seacane, that gave us some of their stuff to take.
Great, really great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to all the volunteers, that helped out. It's good stuff to do. Add some more trees to
It's
the parks.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too, the Conservation District, their tool trailer. I tried to get it for our planning on 69th Street, but it was reserved that day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a really good resource that they
Oh,
have.
yeah. That's excellent. That's excellent. All right. Item 5 is PHS tree checkers.
Yeah, so we'll have to check the trees that we planted in the fall, which
Mhm.
were the 24 on
Mhm.
69th Street.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I was just thinking maybe the three of us could go down there, maybe
absolutely.
sometime like late March, early April,
Yep.
do the tree checkers, and then do any maintenance that they
Mhm.
need. They probably got beat up.
Bring a couple of tools,
Yeah.
right? Bring some things,
Straighten them
bring
a little bit maybe.
pruners
You'd have
and,
to-
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I went by the one tree and it was like snapped in half.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it might still be alive, but it's like stuff like that. We'll have to fix the stakes and
yeah,
who knows what
maybe
else.
shore up stakes a little bit, work the mulch and stuff.
Yeah,
Might be some refuse in some of the pits or whatever.
cool.
Oh, that'd be good though. Oh, I'd like that.
Maybe if it's not alive, we can just replace it at a nursery or something.
We could, yeah,
That's something
Yeah, this season, yeah, yeah.
that's there.
definitely.
Because we know that since we planted there, it's good to plant. We don't need to call 811 or anything.
Yeah, it's just tit for
Cool.
tat.
Yeah, we'll figure out a date later to do
Yeah,
that.
well, that's great. All right. Item 6, Arbor Day is coming. And what are we thinking about for Arbor Day?
Yeah, so going back to the Arbor Day, the Tree City USA
Mm-hmm.
status, one of the requirements is we have some sort of like Arbor Day celebration in the
Mhm.
township. Another thing we have to do that I kind of forgot about was the mayor has to like sign off on something that like recognizes our Arbor Day celebration.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting.
Okay.
We'll have to try and
Yeah,
get-
yeah.
When is Arbor Day?
I think it's April 26th this year. But I mean, it doesn't have to be on April 26th.
Right,
Really
right.
any day we want.
Oh, it doesn't need to be on Arbor Day, it just has to be called Arbor Day Celebration.
Yeah.
Ah, I got
I
it.
mean, it should be like around Arbor Day,
Yeah.
but
Shouldn't be in January.
right. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, last year we had that cool. I don't know. We had like, what do you call it? Like we're at Gillespie Park. We were tabling. All
Mhm.
those
Yeah,
organizations.
we had, there
came
was
out.
like, yeah, there was, yeah, all, like a number of the departments, Stephen, had tables at Gillespie Park to just kind of build awareness. We gave away some seats, some saplings and things like that to people, answered their questions and kind of tried to get them a little bit connected with Shade Tree Commission and stuff going on in the township, kind of bringing the township to people instead of, always having, people come to meetings here or watch on Zoom or whatever. So, yeah, that was last year. We'll have to check with Bill and Parks to see if there's anything planned or if there's anything like that this year, or if we need to do something ourselves.
Yeah, do you know, Steven? Is there anything going on this year? I don't think so.
The only thing I know is that the EAC, who sponsored that event last year, was thinking about a trails challenge for people to take advantage of any of the trails that are open, not just the asphalted trails that have been recently done, but any others that have been cut through woods, et cetera. And Sean McIntosh from Upper Darby Trails had put together, I think it's 8 or 10 different maps of trails throughout Upper Darby Township. And was going to try and put them online, say anybody wants to go and do one.
Oh, yeah.
And whether you would self-check or whether we'd have some people out there on those days, maybe try and do it that weekend, which is Arbor Day weekend. I think it's the 27th, 28th, something like that. Self-regulated would probably be better, but we could have a few people out there, a couple tables.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we could do like a tree walk or something.
Yeah,
Get
that's a
someone-
really good idea.
arborist or someone who knows a bit about trees. Do like a little guided walk.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That might be something. The only other idea I had was after we visited the, what's that place? Collinbrook Farm.
Yes.
And we saw one of the old pen trees. I brought the book with me this time.
Oh, there's one of the pen trees is there? That's a historical plaque and stuff?
Well, no, it doesn't have a plaque or anything, but it's listed in the book as one of the trees that was here when William Penn established the Pennsylvania, charter. Yeah, I forget what it's called. But yeah, so it's trees that are like around like 250 to 300 years old that were supposedly here when William Penn founded Pennsylvania. I think there's 2 in Upper Darby Township. in the book. So, yeah, there's the one at Collinbrook, which is a big bur oak. And there's another one on private property, kind of like closer to Lansdowne.
Hmm.
But yeah, the bur oak it's the only one on like public property in the township. And then Mike and I saw it, so I thought maybe we could do something like that. Like it doesn't have a plaque, so like
Yeah, there's no indication, anything.
yeah,
Pretty
I
good,
think it's-
yeah, I mean,
for like
yeah,
a 300-year-old tree, I
Yeah.
think it looks pretty good.
yeah.
But I'm no arborist.
I mean, it's massive, you know, and yeah, it's quite a thing, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe if we could like do some kind of like dedication or get like money together to put like a
Yeah.
plaque.
Yeah, yeah,
Down
that would
there,
be a
that
great
might be a
thing,
cool
to
thing to
recognize
do.
it as a, you know, a significant thing in the township.
Yeah, it's probably the oldest tree in the
Yeah.
township.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, those two are probably around the same age.
that's great, you found it in the,
Yeah, you want
Yeah.
to check it out?
yeah, yeah.
There's no picture of it, but there's like a description of it down here.
Yeah, it's like right by the creek.
Trees of, just like
And,
this, all look, oh, yeah.
Yeah, bur oak for sure.
Yeah, it's mostly southeastern Pennsylvania, but there's some in like more like central Pennsylvania. Then there's some in like Delaware, southern New Jersey.
By the way, the Upper Darby Trails Group, we got a drone video to take a look at the paths that have been asphalted in the past year. We have them up on our Facebook page. But you could do something with the tree. I think it was John Kowalski who did all that drone video stuff. We could probably talk to him. You want to get a picture of the tree, get it from all sides. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, that tree, it's in Lansdowne, is a landmark around the whole state. You know, that's been here since the 1600s.
Yeah.
So you could
The
take a look at that.
Lansdowne sycamore, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's in the book.
It's gotta be in there.
And yeah, they did a really nice job. There's like a plaque there. They built like a little park around it,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they take that tree seriously. Yeah.
It's, in fact, that the symbol of the Lansdowne tree is like on their, maybe in their flag and things like that.
That's not the tree.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, Collinbrook Bur Oak.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other ideas for Arbor Day?
That's a good idea.
I like that. You know, a little bit of pride in something that we have and some, oh, that's really cool.
And then you reached out to the Historic Society, right?
I did.
I don't think we heard anything back.
I didn't
'cause
hear
we'd have
anything
to-
back now that you say that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. So I'll take the action item to refresh that and maybe try to get a phone number and call someone.
Yeah, because we definitely have to involve them if we did something.
Yeah, and just to get an idea of what's happening at that Collinbrook farm, what a little bit of not a lot of the history, but, you know, what goes on and what their goals are and things too. Yeah, no, that would be good. I'll do that. Collinbrook, okay. All right. Anything else? All right, I guess that brings us to any additional comments or thoughts or anything we haven't covered? Public comment, any other, goings on in the township or things that we'd want to be aware of?
I raised something with Evan before the meeting. Is that something I should bring up now?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Upper Darby Tree Tenders was approached by a high school student wanting to do a project revolving around trees. And she and some of her classmates, I won't call them diminutive, but they're not big people. And they were looking at, could they plant something that was small? And we happen to have seedlings at the nursery, and we said, we'd be happy to help you with that. A recommendation was made to use the retention basin at Stonehurst Hills Recreation Area. It used to be called the Second Ward Playground.
Yep.
And their retention basin used to be a rain garden. And then 15 years ago, there was some damage to it. And I think the township then decided to lawn mow it and Hasn't been anything growing there, although the sign is still there saying it's a rain garden. So it's just a big retention basin. We had asked the township if we could use that area and guide the students to plant, let's say, 35 to 40 seedling shrubs and real small trees in that area. They did not get back to us at first, and then we heard today that it sounds like we can't do it, but they didn't give us a reason why. Perhaps you could find out what that reason is, why they don't. I understand there's some maintenance issues, but there's very little maintenance that goes on in a retention basin. You know, if it gets water, it's going to be able to handle whatever is down there. There is stuff that comes off the street. A lot of times a retention basin, the piping brings in refuse off the street, it collects in there, and that has to be picked up. But that would be picked up otherwise, anyway, whether there was something planted there or not. In the case of a drought, maybe 3-week drought, something like that, you need to have some watering done. But we had said that we could bring a tote there. We couldn't get water into the tote. We don't have a mechanism to do that. But we could certainly get a tote there. Once it was there, we could attach a hose and we could water it periodically, or have people who were residents of the community water, you know, infrequently when it was necessary. Probably not this spring. There's water everywhere. But the idea is, you know, 3rd week of July or the 2nd week of August, you know, maybe you've had a problem.
Stephen, what kind of maintenance do you think is expected? Like what?
We wouldn't have expected much maintenance
Right,
in a retention basin.
right.
Usually retention basins are either seeded or they're planted with shrubs and trees, and they're allowed to do their own thing.
Right. Would it need to be like cleared of whatever grasses and things are there now?
Well, that is frequently the case, but there is so little growing in that area right now. I don't think it would be a problem.
Okay.
It's not like any turf grass is going to overcome any seedlings that we'll be putting in.
Is it mown now?
I think it has been mowed in the past. I don't know how frequently each summer they do that.
Yeah.
But
To complete the kind of the vision of what it would be like, would it be desirable to have not like fencing, but some kind of signage or some like posts to indicate that
Well,
this
there
area
is-
is separate from
Yeah.
kind of the
there is a
rest of
split rail
the rest
fence.
of the park maintenance work in the area?
there is a split rail fence that goes completely around, and there's a gate.
There
to
is
which-
now?
Yeah,
Okay,
and you can get a gate open to get a vehicle in there.
okay, okay.
So.
So that's already, okay,
Yeah.
that kind of makes the space seem separate.
Yeah, I know if somebody's mowing, they would like to mow in straight lines.
Yeah, yep.
And if
yep.
there's some shrubs or trees in the way, they might object to that. But when they're tubed and staked, the amount of space that they have to go around is very narrow.
Okay, then that's the idea, tubed and staked.
Right.
Okay,
And they could be short tubes,
yeah, yeah,
so that, you know, once these start to grow, you know, by the end of the summer, you get stuff coming out of them.
mm-hmm,
The only reason for the tube is basically to let somebody know, don't run over this.
right. The split rail was put in as part of the park remake, I guess.
I believe.
I was thinking of it before the big remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's something
They may have legitimate
something to
objections.
talk about, sure.
They just didn't communicate what those objections were to us. They just
Sure.
said no. They
And
said-
maybe there's a way to satisfy the
Right.
concerns.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah.
Wait, which park was this? I forget.
Stonehurst Hills, it used to be called Second Ward Playground.
Okay.
It's kind of like a block in from like Church Road.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a-
really see what the issue would be. I don't think it's a maintenance issue, because
Yeah.
it's the retention basin. And yeah, they're just like small seedlings that
Yeah.
they're not gonna need any like serious
Well, again,
attention.
it could be legitimate.
Right,
They just didn't tell us.
Yeah, and, yeah, well, that's great.
And then, so you said they wanted to plant like March 19?
Well, the student had this senior project that she wanted to get done before the end of the year. They
Okay,
have a 2-week spring break, which is the last week in March and the first week in April. So she wanted to see if she could get it done before the spring break. That's what she was proposing. I mean, it could be done afterwards, but,
Sure.
you know, she was asking other students to come out with her on a day.
Mhm.
So she had gotten approval for March 19th,
Hmm.
thinking that the
Okay.
skids would be greased, and they weren't.
How many trees were we talking?
35 to 40 seedlings.
35?
We figured with 10 students, we could do it in an hour and a half,
Mhm.
2 hours maybe. The
And they're all
outside.
coming from the nursery?
They'd all come from the nursery.
Yeah, I don't see what the problem is. I mean,
Well,
we could follow up
We'll
with
have to
Bill,
figure-
but
yeah.
I think we
Start
could
with
get it
Bill.
done.
Yeah.
Who told you no? Do you know?
The message came from Bill Kaplan,
Yeah.
but it might have been
But the
higher up that
decision,
told him.
yeah, I'm sure the decision was elsewhere. Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
aware of it.
All right.
I know
That's good.
he's out of the office, I think, next week. That's what he was
Yes.
saying, but
Yes.
we'll follow up with him.
Yeah, yeah.
But just now, I don't think he's around next week.
Well,
We have other contacts we'll start with. Yeah.
Sure.
That's great, Stephen. Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. All right. What else?
I didn't have anything else.
Anything else? That's a pretty good agenda, actually. Um, Yeah, I don't know. If there's no more public comment, we've been through our agenda, I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn till next month.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, we're done here. Steve, thanks for running the meeting. Stephen, thanks for joining us tonight. And all the updates. That's great.